The case starting today in Fulchester Crown Court is the Queen versus Collings, which might more aptly be called Collings versus Collings, because a young man is charged with causing grievous bodily harm to his first cousin. It is alleged by the prosecution that the savage attack which took place was the culmination of a long-standing feud between the two sides of the family. The crime was committed in front of a house in the expensive residential area of Hayley, the home of Mr. Clifford Collings, estate agent and property developer. The man charged with the crime is Mr. Collings' nephew, Brian Collings, aged 21, a garage mechanic. The victim of the attack was Mr. Collings' son, Alan, and he is the witness who has just been called by the prosecution.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the testament in the right hand and read aloud the words on this card.
I'm afraid I can't.
You cannot read? Then repeat after me, please. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth, the whole truth.
Shall be the truth, the whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
You're Alan Collings of Launceston House, Hayley.
Yes.
How old are you?
22.
You're aware that some of the questions I shall have to ask may be difficult and painful ones for you to answer.
Yes.
Will you tell the jury why you were unable to read the card?
Because I am blind in one eye and only have minimal vision in the other.
You're totally blind in one eye and in the other you have minimal vision. Meaning what exactly?
Well, I can just make out blurred shapes.
With one eye you can just make out blurred shapes and with the other, nothing. Are you still undergoing medical treatment?
Oh, yes, every day.
And what is the latest prognostication of your doctors?
They say it's
Do they offer you
unlikely.
hope?
Well, it's unlikely now to get any better.
I see. How did this affliction come about?
I was attacked in August 1972.
Do you remember the precise date and time?
It was the night of August 14th.
Please tell the jury what happened to you that night.
I was just walking towards the front door of the house when I heard footsteps running up behind me. I turned and saw a man coming. He was running fast, coming right at me. He had something in his hand. I thought it was a weapon, and I put my hands up to shield my face and my head. But at the same moment, something hit my face. Something liquid. It hit me right across the eyes. And I felt a terrible burning, like it was scalding hot water that had hit me. I let out a yell, a scream like I'd never made in my life before. I heard the screech of tyres in the street as a car pulled up. Footsteps, the man's footsteps, running away. A voice from the house, my father's voice, shouting, "Alan, is that you? Is that you, Alan?" The next thing I remember, I was in the ambulance, and someone was gripping my wrist tight and saying, "Don't touch your eyes. You're going to be all right. Don't touch your eyes."
There's one thing you didn't mention.
Didn't mention?
The appearance of your assailant.
Yes, he had a mask over his head and face.
What sort of mask?
A stocking mask.
A nylon stocking mask.
Yes.
I want you to concentrate on a very short period of time. I'm talking about the period between the moment when you turned, hearing the footsteps behind you, and the moment the acid was thrown in your face.
My lord, my learned friend is running ahead of himself. It has not yet been established what the substance was that was flung in the witness's face.
Yes, I take your point, Mr. Dealey, but is it only an academic point? Whatever the substance was, it had the effect of blinding Mr. Collings, and that is not in dispute, is it? Perhaps, Mr. Elliot, you would amend your question.
Certainly, my lord. Can you say how long elapsed between the moment when you turned and the moment the substance was thrown in your face?
A few seconds.
A few seconds. A very crucial few seconds Not only because they were the last moments in your life in which you had normal vision, but also because they were the only moments in which you saw your assailant. Now, what was the state of visibility?
Visibility?
Well, it was a summer night. About what time?
Just after 11.
Was it dark?
Not very.
What source of lighting was there? Was there moonlight?
I don't think so. The sky was overcast. It had been raining. But the street lights were on, and, well, also just outside our front door there's a porch light.
Was that porch light on?
Yes.
So that allowing for the fact that it was 11 o'clock at night, visibility was good.
Yes.
And in those crucial few seconds, after you turned and saw the man running towards you, did you get a clear view of him?
Yes.
Can you say where he was running from?
He was running from a clump of rhododendron bushes at the side of the drive.
Are the rhododendron bushes tall enough and thick enough for a man to hide in?
Yes.
Did you see him come from the rhododendron bushes?
No, but, well, there's nowhere else he could have been hiding. Otherwise, I'd have seen him when I put the car in the garage.
Now then, as he ran towards you into the light, you have so far told us two things you observed about your assailant. One, he wore a nylon stocking mask over his head, and two, he held something in his hand menacingly. Now, did you observe anything else?
Yes. He was a young man about my size and build.
I can understand you're saying he was about your size and build, but how do you know he was young?
By his movements.
By the way he ran?
Yes.
Did you notice anything else about his appearance, his clothing, say?
Oh, only that he was wearing something dark, black or dark blue.
You seem very certain as to what you did see and what you did not see.
Yes.
You remember those few seconds vividly?
Yes, I do.
Miss Collins, in spite of the fact that you saw his face through a nylon stocking, did you recognize your assailant?
Yes.
Who was he?
My cousin Brian.
How did you recognize him?
By his movements, by the way he ran.
You recognized his manner of running?
Yes.
My lord, I must question the repeated use of the word recognise by prosecuting counsel.
On what ground?
On the grounds, my lord, that the word recognise implies identifying someone beyond any doubt, which seems impossible without seeing their face.
Well, I see your point, Mr. Dealey, but I'm not sure that I agree with it. One can clearly recognise someone by their voice, for example, without seeing their face.
That is true, my lord, but I would submit with respect that whereas it might be rare for two people to have the same voice, it must be quite common for one or more people to move or run in the same way.
Well, I don't wish to get involved in a semantic discussion, Mr. Dealey, and I think it is a bad point.
Thank you, my lord, but I don't mind putting the question another way. Was the man's manner of running familiar to you?
Yes.
In what way?
He ran just like my cousin runs.
Your cousin being the defendant, Brian Collins.
Yes.
Do you feel unwell?
No, I'm all right.
Do you feel up to answering more questions?
Yes.
Do you have many more questions, Mr. Elliot?
A few, my lord.
Perhaps you would like a few minutes' adjournment.
Oh, no, sir. No, your lord. I'm all right.
Very well, Mr. Elliot.
Now, what was your relationship with the defendant?
We didn't get on.
You were not on friendly terms?
No.
Never?
Well, we were when we were kids. I mean, we were at the same school together. We got along fine then.
What happened to change this?
Well, my father and Uncle George, that's Brian's father, had a bust-up.
What sort of bust-up?
In business. They were in business together. There was some sort of row and Uncle George left the firm.
I see. How long ago was this?
5 years ago.
And that caused a rift between the two sides of the family.
Yes.
Since leaving school, how often did you see your cousin?
Hardly ever.
Meaning what? About once a year?
About that, yes.
Prior to the night the attack was made on you, when was the last time you'd seen him?
3 days before.
3 days before. Now, would you please describe that occasion?
It was my parents' wedding anniversary, their silver wedding. They gave quite a big party.
How big?
About 40 guests, including all members of the family.
And your cousin came with his parents?
Yes.
Was that the first time your aunt and uncle had seen your parents since this quarrel?
Yes.
Must have been a tense moment between your father and your uncle.
Yes, it was. It was quite sticky at first. They hardly spoke to each other for the first hour. But, well, after a few drinks, things warmed up a bit.
You and your cousin, how did you get on?
very badly. He was needling me all evening. We ended up having a flaming row, a real shouting match in front of everyone. And he threatened me.
Exactly what threat did he make?
He said, "You've got it coming to you, Alan."
Thank you.
Mr. Collings, excuse me, so as not to cause you further distress, I shall keep my cross-examination as brief as possible, but there are one or two things I must ask you about the scene of the attack. Excuse me. Firstly, the visibility. You've said that although the sky was overcast, there was some lighting coming from the street lamp and some from the porch light outside your front door. And this is no doubt true, but what is also true is that between the nearest street lamp and your drive is a large tree, an evergreen tree, I believe, which would have obscured most of the lighting reaching the drive. My lord, as Exhibit 1, I should like to offer this photograph of the Collings' residence, taken from the street, an agreed photograph. Now, as can be seen, the photo shows the street lamp in the foreground, and behind it, between the lamp and the drive going up to the house, is the tree. About the other light, the porch light by the front door. The distance between the spot where you were attacked and the front door has been measured at about 20 yards, approximately the length of a cricket pitch. Now, would you say that these distances were about right?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what sort of bulb was in the porch light?
What sort of bulb?
Well, its strength, wattage.
No.
No, there's no reason why you should, but I can tell you that the bulb at present in the porch light, as can easily be verified, is only 40 watts. Now, I put it to you that
Lord,
if this
regardless of whether it can be verified what strength of bulb is at present in the porch light, this is entirely irrelevant, because it says nothing of what sort of bulb was in that light last August.
Thank you, Mr. Elliot. Do you have any comment on that question, Mr. Dealey?
I do indeed, my lord, but I should like to ask the witness to answer that. Do you think that after the terrible thing that happened in front of your house 4 months ago, that a weaker bulb would since have been put in that porch light?
My lord, is my learned friend asking the witness to make a conjecture?
Yes, that is a comment. I will not allow the question.
Thank you, my lord.
Let us assume for the moment that there is a 40-watt bulb in the porch light.
Yes.
And after all, 40 watts is the usual strength for an outside porch light. And I put it to you that a 40-watt bulb sheds very little light at a distance of 60 feet. Very little indeed. So that the visibility must have been extremely low. It must have been very dim. And
I
yet
could see all right.
You could see what? You could see a man hurtling towards you. Running towards you with something in his hand that made you instinctively raise your own hands to protect yourself, and yet in that split second of time, in the dimness, you say that you were able to observe that the man had a stocking mask on his face, that he wore loose-fitting clothes, that he was about the same height and build as yourself, and that he ran like your cousin runs?
Yes, I saw all that. I knew it was him.
If you knew it was him, did you call out? Did you cry out, "Brian, Brian, is that you"?
No.
Why not?
Well, there wasn't time.
Precisely. It all happened so fast in the semi-darkness that you didn't even have time to cry out.
But it wasn't so fast that I didn't...
No further questions, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Collings, what were you about to say?
I did see. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Elliot, do you wish to re-examine?
No, my lord.
Then, Mr. Collings, you may leave the box. Usher.
You're Clifford Collings of Launceston House, Hayleigh,
Yes.
and you're the father of the last witness.
Yes, I am.
What is your occupation?
I'm in property development.
How long have you been married, Mr. Collings?
25 years.
You and your wife celebrated your silver wedding anniversary last August, did you not?
Yes, we did.
Could you tell the court about that occasion?
Well, it wasn't the happy occasion it should have been.
Why not?
Well, it was my fault, really. At least I blame myself for what happened. I took a risk, a calculated risk, in inviting certain members of my family with whom I'd been out of touch for some years.
Those members being?
My brother George, his wife Eva, and my nephew Brian. My brother and I had not been on speaking terms since a dispute we had some years earlier, but as this was a special occasion, I thought it was a good opportunity to try and make up. Family feuds are unpleasant things. They cause tension and unhappiness all round.
But the invitation did not have the desired effect.
No, it didn't, I'm afraid. My brother and I chatted a little, which was something after 5 years' silence. And my wife and sister-in-law exchanged pleasantries, but it was all uncomfortable and a bit superficial. Well, that was to be expected, but what we hadn't expected was that the two boys would be at each other's throats.
At each other's throats, meaning what exactly?
Well, they were squabbling all evening, sort of picking on each other. And finally it erupted into a row at which they apparently both lost their tempers.
You say apparently. Does this mean that you did not witness the altercation?
No, I didn't.
Well, why not? Where were you at the time?
I was seeing out some guests who were leaving early.
See, so you were not present at the climax of the row between your son and the defendant.
No, but I heard all about it afterwards.
Yes, I'm sure you did. Mr. Collins, let us move on now, if we may, to the night of the attack. That's just 3 days after the event you have described.
Yes.
The time was about 11 p.m. You were still up and about?
Yes, but my wife and I had both gone upstairs to our bedroom.
To your bedroom?
Yes.
Does your bedroom face to the front or the back of the house?
The front?
Overlooking the drive, in fact, where the attack took place.
Yes.
Now, please describe to the court exactly what happened.
Well, the first thing I heard was my son's car coming up the drive. I saw the headlamps, the headlamp beams crossing the curtains as it turned into the garage. I was just starting to get undressed.
Your wife was with you?
No, she was in the bathroom at that moment.
I see it. Please go on.
Well, after a moment or two, I heard this tremendous, blood-curdling yell. I ran to the window, pulled back the curtains, flung the window open and shouted. I'm not quite sure what it was I shouted, but I think it was something like, Alan, is that you? Are you all right, Alan?
Was there any answer?
No.
Now, what exactly did you see?
I saw two men. One was crouched down, holding his hands to his face, and the other was running away fast.
Can you describe the man running away?
Yes, he was a young man wearing dark clothes, and he was hooded.
Hooded?
Yes, with a stocking mask over his head.
Did you notice anything else about him? His size, say, or his build?
He was the same size and build as my son.
And therefore about the same size and build as your nephew, the defendant, Brian Collins?
Yes.
Now, having seen what you did from the window, what did you do then?
I shouted to my wife to telephone for an ambulance and a doctor, and then I ran downstairs.
To go to the aid of your son?
Yes. I found him collapsed on the ground, clutching his face in agony.
Did the ambulance arrive soon after that?
Fortunately, yes, it came within a few minutes.
They must have been the longest few minutes in your life, Mr. Collins.
Yes.
One last question, Mr. Collins. In spite of the fact that you didn't see the man's face, do you have any doubt as to who attacked your son?
No, I have no doubt. It was Brian.
Thank you, sir. No more questions.
Mr. Dealey, do you wish to question this witness?
Yes, my lord, I do. Mr. Collins, during those anxious few minutes waiting for the ambulance to arrive, did anything else happen?
Well, my wife came out to say that the ambulance was on its way and that they were bringing a doctor with them.
Yes, but anything else?
No, I don't think so.
You didn't see anyone?
See anyone? Ah, yes, a lady got out of her car and came up the drive to ask if she could help in any way.
Oh, you didn't mention that just now while being questioned by prosecuting counsel. Why was that?
Lord, it must be perfectly clear that the witness didn't mention it because he wasn't asked about it.
Yes, quite so, Mr. Elliot. But there seems no reason why defence counsel shouldn't ask about it now.
By all means, my lord, as long as my learned friend doesn't make it appear suspicious that the witness didn't answer a question he was never asked.
I'm sure the jury won't find anything suspicious in it. Go on, Mr. Dealey.
You say that a lady got out of a car.
Yes.
Now, where was this car?
It was in the street almost opposite the house.
Had it been there all the time?
No, it pulled up at the time of the attack.
And was this lady someone you knew?
No, my wife knew her slightly, I believe, Mrs. Whittaker. She lived about a quarter of a mile away.
And when Mrs. Whittaker came up the drive to see if she could be of any assistance, did you speak to her?
Oh, very briefly. I just said that the ambulance was on its way.
I see. Mr. Collings, let us go back to the moment when you were upstairs in your bedroom and you heard this blood-curdling yell from outside. You said that you ran to the window, you flung it open, and you saw two men. One doubled up, clutching his face, and the other one running away fast.
Yeah.
Now, which of the two men did you look at most?
I looked at both of them.
At the same time?
Oh, from one to the other.
And you knew that the man doubled up and clutching his face was your son?
Yes.
How? Did you see his face?
No, I just knew it instinctively.
And did you know instinctively that the man running away was your nephew?
Answer the question, Mr. Collings.
I knew it in a different way.
In what way?
I knew that he was the only person with the motive to commit such an attack, and that the man running away looked like him.
You were asking the court to believe that looking down from your upstairs window into the semi-darkness...
It was not semi-darkness.
Into very subdued lighting at night, you saw a man with a mask over his face running away fast, and you could tell what he looked like?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Collings, what would you say about the person over there?
My lord, I must object.
Dealey, what is this exhibition in aid of? What purpose does it serve?
I trust that you will see that in a moment, my lord.
I trust so too.
Mr. Collings, you had a good look at that masked figure that just came into the court.
Yes?
In fact, you had a closer look for a longer period of time and in brighter lighting than you had a look at your son's assailant on that night.
I suppose so, yes.
Now, how would you describe the figure that you've just seen?
Well, in what way?
Well, young, old, big, small?
I would say he was a young chap of medium height.
Thank you. Would you come back in, please?
My lord, I must object to my learned friend's use of this cheap theatrical device.
I don't think it just was a cheap theatrical device, Mr. Elliot.
And I did not intend it to be just a cheap theatrical device, my lord, but a practical demonstration to show how hard it is to give a positive identification to a masked figure wearing loose-fitting clothes.
The case of the Queen versus Collings will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. In the case of the Queen versus Collings, Brian Collings, aged 21, stands charged with causing grievous bodily harm to his cousin Alan Collings by flinging a liquid substance which has been identified by a forensic expert as a solution of sodium hydroxide or caustic soda in his face. As a result of the attack, Alan Collings is now totally blind in one eye and partially blind in the other. Two witnesses for the prosecution, the victim and his father Clifford Collings, have testified that although they only got a glimpse of the assailant, and although he was wearing a nylon stocking mask over his head and face, they were still able to identify him as Brian Collings by his movements and his way of running. The witness about to be called for the prosecution is the victim's fiancée.
Oh, yes, please. nothing but the truth.
Your name is Pauline Ellis?
Yes.
You live at 95 Coombe Lane, Medley Green?
Yes.
How old are you?
21.
Do you know the victim of the assault, Mr. Alan Collings?
I'm his fiancée.
And when is the wedding to take place?
Well, it was to have been a month ago, but now...
Now?
It's been postponed.
Why is that?
Well, since what happened to Alan, his injury, his near blindness, he doesn't want to go ahead with the wedding.
But you still do?
Yes.
Is it because he feels that he is so incapacitated that he cannot support you in the manner in which he would wish?
Something like that. Also, he thinks, well, it's a sort of pride, really. He thinks it's not right for him to marry me now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well, Mr. Elliot.
On the night of August the 14th, the night of the attack, did you see Alan?
Yes,
When was this?
just before. I mean, we'd spent the evening together, and he'd driven me home. It was soon after that that...
That he was attacked?
Yes.
Do you recall what time you got home that night?
Yes, about 11:15.
The attack took place a few minutes after 11. Would that be about the right length of time for Alan to drive from your home to his?
20 minutes, yes.
So he evidently went straight home.
Yes.
When did you first hear about what had happened to him?
Well, not till the next morning when Mrs. Collins came round to my house and broke it to me gently.
Must have been a terrible shock for you.
Yes, it was.
Can you recall your first instinctive reaction?
Well, to thank God he was still alive, and to hope he wasn't too badly injured.
At that time, you didn't know, of course, the extent of the damage to his eyes.
No, I didn't.
When you first heard how Alan had been attacked, did you have any idea as to who might have done it?
My lord, my learned friend has been circuitously working his way towards this question, and I submit, as phrased, it is inviting evidence of the witness's beliefs and not of facts.
Yes, I agree. A bad question, Mr. Elliot.
Very well, my lord. The moment you heard of the attack, did you immediately think you knew who had done it? Just yes or no, please.
Yes, I did.
Had you met Brian Collings, the accused, before Alan Collings was assaulted?
Yes.
Did they get on well?
No. They had it in for each other, or rather, Brian had it in for Alan.
Did you observe any incident between the two of them?
Yes, I did. But it's difficult to understand unless you know the background.
Well, tell us. Mr. Dealey will object if any of it is in dispute.
Well, as I see it, the main cause of trouble goes back quite a few years, 5 or 6 years, when Brian's father and Alan's father had some sort of dispute. In business, I mean.
At that time, they were in business together.
Yes.
Do you know what sort of business?
Yes, they were estate agents.
And do you know what happened as a result of this dispute?
Yes, George Collins, that's Brian's father, resigned from the firm. The thing is that since then, the firm began to do very well. It was about the time the property boom started. And now the firm has grown into something really big. But his side, Brian's side of the family, missed out on the large profits in the last few years.
Will you now tell us of the incident you observed?
Well, on more than one occasion, I've heard Brian making insulting remarks.
What sort of insulting remarks?
Well, I've heard him say things like, to cheat in business is bad enough, but to cheat your own brother is diabolical.
Did he say this to Alan or to Alan's father?
To Alan about his father.
See?
I also heard him ask Alan what it was like to be put through university on ill-gotten gains.
By ill-gotten gains, he meant?
He meant it was only because of the business swindle, so-called, that Alan's father could afford to send him to university. I think the fact that Alan had been to university for 3 years was what burnt Brian up more than anything.
What do you mean by burned him up?
Well, made him angry and resentful.
I see. When was the last time you personally heard, the accused make insulting remarks to your fiancé?
A few days before he was attacked. It was at his parents' wedding anniversary party.
Now, please tell the court what you witnessed on that occasion.
Between Brian and Alan?
Yes.
Well, they hadn't seen each other for some time, a year or two, and it was the first time that Brian had ever been invited to the house. He hadn't been there 5 minutes before he started to make, well, cracks.
What sort of cracks?
Well, about how big the house was, how much it must have cost. He even went round asking the guests, excuse me, how much they thought it was worth. And telling them at the same time that his family still lived in the same small 3-room bungalow they had for years.
How did the other guests react to that?
Well, some took it lightly as a sort of joke, but others were embarrassed. They knew what Brian was about. The trouble was he had been drinking for some time, and as the evening went on, he got louder and more aggressive. So Alan and I tried to avoid him. We went out into the garden. It was a fine summer evening, and some of the guests were there. But Brian found us.
He was, in fact, looking for you.
Yes.
With what purpose?
Well, I think to pick a fight with Alan.
Did he succeed?
Yes, eventually. We were just going back into the house. Several of the guests were watching. He turned on Brian and told him to get out, told him that if he wasn't enjoying himself, to stop spoiling it for everybody else and to get the hell out.
And what did the accused do?
We just stood there, rather blocking our way. And he looked at Alan, and then at me, and then Alan again. And then he said, the only reason I was marrying Alan was for the money. And if Alan didn't know it, he was the only one who didn't.
No, that's not true.
Be quiet.
That's not what I said. What I said...
Sit down and be quiet. Mr. Dealey, you should advise your client that he only does himself harm by this, and that he would do well to sit down and wait for the proper time to speak.
It's good advice.
Very well, Mr. Elliot.
Miss Ellis, was there any truth in this allegation that you were only marrying Alan for money?
Absolutely none.
How did Alan react to such a jibe?
He turned on Brian. He tried to hit him. But one of the guests grabbed his arm, and I stood between them to try and keep them apart. But Alan was yelling at Brian.
Yelling what?
Saying he was hysterical and obsessively jealous, and that he was really mad and a sick case and should see a doctor.
To which the accused replied...
To which Brian replied, you've got it coming to you, Alan. And then he left.
He left.
Left the house.
Was that the last time you saw the defendant until this trial?
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Ellis. No further questions.
Thank you.
Miss Ellis, may we go back to this party, the anniversary party given by your fiancé's parents?
Yes.
Now, among other things you said about the defendant was that he had been drinking. Now, what exactly did you mean by that?
Well, he'd had a lot to drink.
Before he came to the party?
Well, I don't know about that, but he'd certainly had quite a few whilst he was at the party.
In fact, you saw him having quite a few.
Yes.
Was he the only one drinking?
Well, no, not the only one. There was champagne, lashings of it.
The party was catered, was it?
Yes, it was catered.
So there were waiters going round filling people's glasses with champagne.
Yes.
Would you say that Brian had more to drink than anyone else?
Well, I don't know about that, but it certainly seemed to affect him more than anyone else.
You also said that as the evening went on, Brian got more noisy and aggressive.
Yes.
Was he the only one to become more noisy? And if not more aggressive, at least more boisterous?
Well, some people got noisy.
And boisterous?
Yes.
Well, it would be surprising if they didn't. After all, it was a celebration party with 40 or 50 guests milling around drinking lashings of champagne. And I would imagine that amid all the din and the babble of conversation, one would have to raise one's voice to be heard. Wouldn't one?
Sometimes, yes.
Did Brian raise his voice higher than anyone else's?
Well, he was pretty noisy, but it wasn't that so much as what he said.
Yes, Miss Ellis, you've told the court of several allegedly disparaging remarks he made to your fiancé.
And to me.
Yes. Did you and Alan take these remarks seriously?
Of course.
There was no question of these things being said with a twinkle.
How do you mean, a twinkle?
With some humour. After all, it was a gay, convivial occasion, and the cousins hadn't seen each other for some time. Couldn't there have been some bantering going on, some teasing?
No, it was not teasing.
That last remark of Brian's, his parting shot, you've got it coming to you, Alan. How did you and Alan take that?
Well, we certainly didn't take it as a joke.
Well, how did you take it?
As a threat. A rather nasty threat.
A threat? To do what?
To get even with Alan. Sort of revenge.
Is that the only interpretation that you and Alan could put on those words?
It's the only interpretation we put.
I see. So, you were very worried and upset by this threat.
Yes, very upset.
Worried by it?
Yes.
Not so upset or worried as to let it spoil your party for you?
I don't follow.
Well, you say you believe that your fiancé had been threatened. Yet it's a fact, isn't it, that after Brian had left, You and Alan stayed on at the party for 2 or 3 more hours, having a good time, joining in party games, dancing, etc.
Yes, but...
And Miss Ellis, when most of the other guests had left, you and Alan stayed on with some of the other young guests and danced until the early hours of the morning.
Yes, but...
No further questions, my lord. My lord, I should like to call the defendant, Mr. Brian Collings.
What is your religion?
Well, I was brought up C of E.
Take the testament in your
But
right
I'm
hand.
not, I don't...
You don't what?
I don't go to church, Your Honour.
Well, you may still take the oath.
Well, to be honest, I have no religious beliefs.
If the defendant wishes to affirm.
Believe so, my lord.
Very well.
I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Your name is Brian Collings, and you live at 126 Plaistow Road, Fulchester?
Yes.
How old are you?
21.
And what is your occupation?
Garage mechanic.
On the night of August 14th last, did you cause grievous bodily harm to your cousin, Alan Collings, by throwing caustic soda into his face?
No, I did not.
Have you ever made any kind of physical assault on your cousin?
No.
Have you ever previously committed or been charged with any act of violence?
No.
Now, until this trial started, when was the last time you had seen your cousin?
At the anniversary party given by my uncle.
Now, the court has heard, and you have heard, various accounts of how you behaved at that party. Are these accounts accurate?
Not entirely.
Not entirely. And what do you mean by that?
Well, I did say some of the things I was supposed to have said, but, well, not that way exactly.
Well, how then? Can you give us an example?
Well, for example, I did say to Alan about his dad that to cheat a stranger in business is bad enough, but to cheat your own brother is diabolical. But then I went on to say that he'd soon be cheating his wife and son before long.
In other words, you were making a critical comment about your uncle's business ethics, but making it in such an exaggerated way that it was not to be taken too seriously.
Yes, that's right. The thing is, if Alan hadn't felt so guilty about it, it wouldn't have bothered him. He would have just shrugged it off.
Can you give us another example?
Yes, Pauline said...
That's Pauline Ellis, the last witness.
Yes. She said that I told Alan everyone knew she was only marrying him for the money. But that's not what I said, not exactly. I said that having a lot of money has some disadvantages. One of them being you never know for sure what people's motives are. And I asked Alan if it worried him that people thought Pauline might be marrying him for the money.
And you did not, in fact, say that that is what she was doing?
No.
You liar!
Silence!
You absolute liar!
Silence in court! That is the second such interruption we have had in this session, and the court will not tolerate it. If it happens again, from any quarter, I shall have the court cleared. Please continue, Mr. Dealey.
Well, the final remark you're alleged to have made to your cousin before you abruptly left the party was, "You've got it coming to you, Alan." Now, did you say that?
More or less.
How do you mean, more or less?
Well, I think what I did say was, you've got yours coming, Alan.
And what did you mean by that?
Well, I meant... Well, I'd just been saying to him that when you do the dirty on someone, you don't really get away with it. Not for long. Things have a habit of catching up with you. Or sooner or later, you'll get your punishment.
And that's what you meant by, "You'll get yours, Alan," that there is some sort of rough justice in the world.
Yes.
But you did not mean that you were going to take justice into your own hands and mete out your own punishment.
No.
Now, when you mention doing the dirty on someone, you're referring to something that the court has only heard about briefly. That is to say, the business dispute between your uncle and your father. Now, would you please tell the court what happened in that dispute?
Yes, between 5 and 6...
Mr. Dealey, it has already been established that such a business dispute did take place between Mr. Collings Sr. and his brother. To go into the matter in further detail surely cannot be relevant to the question as to who attacked Mr. Collings Jr. Besides, the witness's evidence is no doubt hearsay. Mr. Elliot, Do you object to these questions?
No, my lord, if your lordship wishes to waive the hearsay rule. However, I don't see how this line of questioning can shed any light on the defendant's guilt or innocence.
In my submission, my lord, it is relevant. I also would like to point out, with respect, that the business dispute has not been established. It has been merely referred to by the prosecution witnesses.
Very well, Mr. Dealey.
Thank you, my lord. Now, will you please tell the court, as briefly as possible, what happened between your uncle and your father?
Well, the firm of Collins and Collins hadn't been doing too well. As I say, this was 5 or 6 years ago. Uncle Clifford was always picking on Dad.
Picking on him?
Well, criticising him, complaining that he was inefficient and that he made wrong decisions. It was always Dad's fault if something went wrong. It got to the point where Dad couldn't stick it any longer and he quit, where he resigned.
Was any financial settlement made?
Yes. As equal partner, Dad got half the firm's assets, but it was nothing. I believe he got a little less than £200 and one of the 2 typewriters.
£200 and a typewriter?
Yes.
Leaving your uncle in sole charge of the firm?
Yes.
What happened after that?
Well, it wasn't long after that, only a few weeks, when the firm got its first big break. A new block of flats was going up in Station Road, and Uncle Clifford got the commission for letting off the flats. He made quite a packet out of it. And soon after that, he got another block of flats to find tenants for. And one thing led to another, and, well, that started the ball rolling. And since then, what with the property boom and everything, the firm has become one of the biggest estate agents and property developers in the area.
So it was a most unfortunate coincidence for your father that he left the firm when he did.
I don't know how much of a coincidence it was.
What do you mean by that?
Mr. Dealey, you seem intent on pressing the defendant to comment on a business dispute which took place several years before the crime for which he stands here on trial, and which has no direct bearing on that crime.
But it may have an indirect bearing, my lord, in that the defendant's replies may give us some idea about his feelings towards the victim of the attack.
Well, if Mr. Elliot doesn't object.
No, my lord.
Brian, are you suggesting that your father's leaving the firm when he did was not just an unlucky coincidence?
I'm suggesting, well, I believe that Uncle Clifford made a deliberate thing of forcing Dad into a position where he would have to quit, because he knew what was ahead.
You mean your uncle anticipated the boom in housing and property?
Yes. He may even have had some deals lined up which Dad didn't know about.
If this was true, why do you think he did it?
Because he wanted it all to himself.
Purely mercenary motives?
Yes. Uncle Clifford was always mad keen to be rich.
And you think that he would be that unscrupulous to achieve his ambitions?
He would trample on anyone, even his brother.
What are your feelings towards your uncle?
I hate his guts.
And what are your feelings towards your cousin?
Alan, I'm sorry for him. Very sorry for him.
But because of the injuries that he sustained?
No, well, that too, but before he was attacked, I was sorry for him.
Why?
Well, he wasn't in a very healthy situation.
How do you mean, situation?
Well, all that money coming in, that sort of money, a big house with its slippery foundations.
And you didn't hate him too because of what happened to your father?
At the time it happened, Alan was only 16. He knew nothing about it, didn't even know what was going on.
Have you ever had any feelings of hostility towards your cousin?
No.
Have you ever wished to do him harm?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. No further questions.
Mr. Collins, at the time of this quarrel between your father and your uncle, how old were you?
About 16.
Are we to believe that at this tender age you knew exactly what was going on?
Yes.
I see. Tell me, do you believe in the biblical saying that the sins of the father are visited on the children? Oh, well, you mustn't you? You've got it coming to you, Alan. Things have a way of catching up with you. Sooner or later, Alan, you'll get your punishment. And may I ask, why didn't you say this to the man you hate? Alan's father. Why say it to the man that you tell us you felt sorry for? I mean, is that the way you show compassion? No answer? Where were you at approximately 11 p.m. on the night of August the 14th last?
I was at home.
You're at home doing what?
Watching television.
At 11 p.m. At 11 p.m. you were watching television?
Yes.
After that?
Then I went to bed.
You went to bed that early, did you? Uh-huh. Were you at home alone?
Yes.
You live with your family, do you not? Your father, your mother, and your younger sister?
Yes.
Well, where were they?
They were away on their summer holidays.
You didn't go away with them?
No.
Why not?
Well, they were very busy at the garage where I worked. I couldn't get off.
So you spent the evening of August the 14th on your own?
Yes.
Is that a frequent occurrence for you, spending time alone? I mean, would you describe yourself as a loner?
Not particularly. I've got friends.
You got friends. Didn't happen to see any of them on August the 14th?
No.
So you were unable to give the police any evidence as to your whereabouts or movements that evening?
No.
No. It's most unfortunate. Do you have a girlfriend?
No one in particular.
No girlfriend in particular, I see. Mr. Collings, the police searched your personal effects, didn't they?
Yes.
And you were present when they searched your home and your effects at the garage where you work?
Yes.
And at the garage they found this photograph, didn't they? Exhibit number 2, my lord. They found that photograph, didn't they?
Yes.
Now, it is what might be called a pin-up photo of a girl in a bikini. However, the girl is Pauline Ellis, your cousin's fiancée. My lord, this photograph was found pinned to the wall at the garage where this man was employed. And Mr. Collings, I put it to you that you were jealous of your cousin Alan, not only because of his family's good fortune, a share of which perhaps you felt your family had been cheated of, but also because perhaps you secretly coveted the girl he was engaged to marry.
No.
I would also put to you that on the night of August the 14th last, the circumstances being propitious, you went to your cousin's home, you put on a nylon stocking mask, and you lay in wait for him. You then performed an act of personal vengeance by throwing caustic soda into his eyes.
No, I didn't.
Didn't you?
No.
No further questions.
The case of the Queen versus Collings will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. The case of the Queen versus Collings in Fulchester Crown Court has reached its third day, and the defendant, Brian Collings, is still in the witness box. He's charged with causing grievous bodily harm to his cousin Alan Collings by flinging a caustic liquid substance in his face, resulting in his cousin's near blindness. Two witnesses for the prosecution, the victim and his father, have testified that they recognized the defendant at the time of the attack, even though he was masked and running at speed. A third witness, Pauline Ellis, the victim's fiancée, has described a violent quarrel which took place between the defendant and his cousin only a few days before the attack. A quarrel which she believed to be the culmination of a long-standing feud between the two sides of the family. In cross-examining the defendant, the prosecutor, Mr. James Elliott, has introduced still another possible motive for the attack. A photograph was presented in evidence, a photograph which the police had found at the garage where the defendant was employed. It was of Pauline Ellis, his cousin's fiancée, wearing a bikini.
Mr. Dealey, do you wish to re-examine?
Yes, my lord, I do. When the police discovered the photograph that the court has just been shown, did you readily admit that it was yours?
Yes.
Was it the only pin-up photo on the wall at the garage where you worked?
No, there were hundreds of them.
Hundreds?
Well, dozens of them.
All of them yours?
No, most of them were put there by the other blokes.
Is there anything unusual about there being photos of girls pinned on the wall of a garage repair shop?
No.
In fact, am I right in thinking that it is, for some reason, Quite usual for there to be such displays.
Yes.
My lord, I submit as Exhibit 3 this envelope, which, as you will see, contains a random selection of pin-up photographs taken mostly from magazines and newspapers, all of which were found at the garage where the defendant works.
Mr. Dealey, is it necessary for us to consider these photographs? They are certainly very revealing, but do they reveal anything about the case before the court?
Only insofar as they establish that the photograph offered by Mr. Elliot as Exhibit 2 was far from being the only photograph on the wall of the garage where the defendant works.
Very well. I think the jury can accept that without having to spend time examining the photographs individually.
Thank you, my lord. Now, when the police found the photograph of Pauline Ellis, did they recognise who she was?
Yes.
Did they express surprise at finding a photo of her at your garage?
They did a bit, yes.
They thought it might have some significance.
I suppose so.
And does it have any significance?
No.
How did you acquire the photograph?
I cut it out of a newspaper.
When was that?
Oh, about a year ago. Pauline was in a beauty contest. She nearly won it. She was runner-up.
Do you have any personal feelings towards Pauline Ellis?
Personal?
Well, are you attracted to her?
Not especially. I mean, well, she's attractive, all right, but...
But you yourself are not interested in her?
No. No.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. No more questions. You're Mrs. Irene Whittaker, and you live at 23 Denby Avenue, Hayley, Fulchester.
Yes.
And your home is about a quarter of a mile from Launceston House, Hayley, where Mr. Clifford Collins and his family live.
Yes.
Now, on the night of August the 14th last, did you drive by Launceston House at about 11 p.m.?
Yes, on my way home.
Were you alone in your car?
Yes.
Mrs. Whittaker, will you please tell the court exactly what you saw as you drove by the house?
Yes. Well, the first thing I noticed out of the corner of my eye was a man running on my left. The house was on my left.
And where was this man exactly?
On the front lawn of Launceston House.
And where was he running to?
He was running to the drive in front of the house, running parallel with me.
Did you see anyone else?
Not at first, but you see, it all happened so dreadfully quickly.
Well, what did happen next?
Well, I'd only driven another few yards when I heard the most dreadful scream. A man's scream, a yell of pain.
And what did you do?
I jammed on my brakes and pulled up sharply at the foot of the drive. I looked towards where the scream had come from, and now I could see two men standing near the house at the top of the drive.
Now, will you describe as carefully as you can, because this is a very crucial moment, exactly how the men were at the instant you stopped your car, how close they were to each other, and what their movements were. Now, take your time.
Yes. Well, they were quite close together, not more than a few feet apart. One of them had his hands up to his face and was making sort of gasping, moaning noises. He appeared to be in very great pain. The other, the one I'd seen running, was moving towards him, but then he stopped.
Excuse me, Mrs. Whittaker, I want to get this absolutely clear. At the precise moment that you stopped your car and looked at the two men, one of them was bending over, clutching his face and moaning, and the other was moving towards this man and not running away.
That's right. He moved a step or two towards him, and then he stopped and looked towards me, towards my car.
As if he was about to do something else when he was interrupted by the sound of your car pulling up.
Yes.
What happened next?
Well, he ran away, and I heard shouts coming from the house.
Which way did the man run?
Straight down the drive towards me. I was terrified because I thought he was coming at me and my engine had stalled when I jammed on the brakes. But when he got to the end of the drive, the man veered away from me, ran round the back of the car, and then ran full pelt down the road in the opposite direction to the way in which I was facing.
Did you observe anything about the man's size or shape?
No, it was too quick.
Would you say that he was a young man of medium size and build?
He could have been, but I couldn't say for certain.
So you could give no accurate description of him?
No, I'm afraid not.
Because of the mask over his face and because he was running very fast in extremely bad light?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Whittaker. Now, after the man had run off down the road, what did you do?
I got out of the car and I went to see if I could do anything to help. The door of the house opened. Mr. Collings came out and ran towards his son. He took him in his arms and tried to comfort him.
Were you acquainted with the Collingses at this time?
Not personally, no, but I did know who they were, and I knew Mrs. Collings slightly. As I was going up the drive, Mrs. Collings came out of the house and said that the ambulance and a doctor were on their way.
Were you still there when the ambulance arrived?
Yes. I saw them put the boy into the ambulance, and the doctor gave him an injection practically immediately, a sedation, I expect. And then Mr. Collings got into the ambulance and went to the hospital with his son.
Leaving you and Mrs. Collings standing outside of the house?
Yes. I asked her if there was anything I could do to help, make some tea or something, but she said no, she would be all right.
After the ambulance had driven away, did you tell Mrs. Collings what had happened?
No. She knew what had happened.
What did she say had happened?
She said, another of those terrible muggings.
Another of those terrible muggings. And by mugging, you took her to mean?
Well, an attack. Violence for the purpose of robbery. Isn't that what it means?
Yes, indeed, Mrs. Whittaker. Violence for the purpose of robbery. Thank you, Mrs. Whittaker. No more questions.
Thank you.
One moment, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
What sort of condition was Mrs. Collings in?
A condition?
What was her apparent state of mind?
Oh, she was dreadfully upset. She was distraught.
She must have been. Was she weeping?
Not weeping exactly, but there were tears in her eyes.
Would you say she was grief-stricken at what had happened to her son?
Oh, yes.
So that when she said another one of those terrible muggings, she might not have known what she was saying.
Well, perhaps not.
In her distraught state, she might have said the first thing that came into her head.
I suppose so.
Another point. When you jammed on your brakes and stopped your car, you said you looked towards the house and you saw two men near the house up at the top of the drive.
Yes.
One of the men had his hands to his face and was making groaning noises, so evidently the substance had already been thrown into his face.
Oh, yes.
Yet you say the other man, the assailant, was still going towards him.
That's right.
Why? I mean, having already made the attack on him, why would he do that?
I don't know. Perhaps to rob him.
To rob him? But your car had pulled up with a screech of brakes, had it not?
Yes.
Now, it do suggest that the assailant was going to start going through his victim's pockets while he was holding a jam jar and knowing that a car had just pulled up and someone was watching it?
I don't know.
For all the man knew, it might have been a police car, mightn't it?
I suppose so.
So doesn't it seem unlikely that at that moment the man would still be going towards his victim?
It may seem unlikely, but I can only say that's what I thought I saw.
Ah, that's what you thought you saw.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Mrs. Whittaker. Thank you.
Mr. Dealey, do you wish to call any other witnesses?
Yes, my lord. I should like to call Mrs. Janet Collings.
Mrs. Janet Collings, please.
Mrs. Collings, you are the mother of Alan Collings, the victim of the attack.
Yes, Your Honour.
Mr. Dealey, has this witness been subpoenaed?
No, my lord.
Are you aware then, Mrs. Collings, that you are under no obligation to testify for the defence unless you wish to do so?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Very well. You may take the oath.
You are Mrs. Janet Collings, wife of Clifford Collings, and you live at Launceston House, Hayley.
Yes.
On August 14th last, at about 11 p.m., when your son was attacked in front of your house, you were indoors. Did you see anything of this attack or of the assailant running away?
No.
Having telephoned for the ambulance and a doctor, you then came out of the house to join your husband in trying to comfort your son.
Yes.
I regret having to draw your mind back to what must have been a most painful experience for you. I only do so, and I'm only in a position to do so, because of the fact that you, of your own volition, have said that you would, if necessary, be prepared to testify on behalf of the defendant. Am I correct?
Yes.
Mrs. Collings, in those agonizing few minutes waiting for the ambulance to arrive, was anything said between you, your husband, or your son?
Well, very little. Alan was in great pain. We didn't know what it was that was thrown in his face. It was burning his skin and his eyes. And I wanted to fetch some cold water to sponge his face to try and relieve the pain. But my husband said it might be worst thing to do.
Anything else?
Oh, yes. Alan said it was Bloody Brian.
It was Bloody Brian.
And my husband said, I thought so. I thought it was him.
Did you say anything?
I said, oh, no, it couldn't have been Brian.
Oh, no, it couldn't have been Brian. Now, why did you say that?
Well, I couldn't believe that he could do such a thing.
And now, some months later, do you still feel the same?
Yes. I know there's been ill will between the two sides of the family, and it grieves me very much the way it happened and why it happened. And I know that Brian has been very bitter about it, and he said some foolish and some hot-headed things. But I just can't bring myself to believe that he's capable of committing such an act.
Thank you, Mrs. Collings, that's all.
Mr. Elliot, do you wish to question the witness?
I've only two questions, my lord. Did you see the attack or the assailant running away?
No.
And Mrs. Collings, I think it noble of you to stand up for the defendant, but can you be sure that he did not attack your son?
No, I can't be sure.
Thank you, Mrs. Collings.
That concludes the evidence for the defence, my lord.
If you please, my lord, members of the jury. When an unusually vicious crime is committed, motive is of paramount importance. Now ask yourselves, who had a motive for making this violent attack on Alan Collings? My learned friend is eager to explore the possibility that this crime was an attempted mugging. Now, for you to consider this seriously, you must answer two questions. One, why would a thief throw acid into the face of his victim a few feet from the victim's front door? Now, surely a gun, a knife, an iron bar even, is the usual weapon when the motive is to steal. Now, the second and far more important question is this: why would a thief, his jam jar in his hand full of caustic soda, walk up a private driveway and then sit behind a rhododendron bush and wait for a prospective victim? Now, is this a clairvoyant thief? Now, members of the jury, we must look for the motive elsewhere. Now, the accused has made no attempt to disguise his feelings towards the other half of the Collings family. We've heard that at every opportunity he expressed his bitterness towards Alan Collings. Never once, though, was this bitterness directed openly at the object of his hate. Now, on August the 11th, after 5 years of silence, the two families came together and a reconciliation was underway. But defying all rational behavior, the defendant persisted, even on this sensitive occasion, to provoke, antagonize, and even slander Alan Collings and his fiancée. A quarrel ensued where the cousins had to be physically restrained. And the final words from the defendant were, "You've got it coming to you, Alan." And this, remember, is just 3 days before the attack. Two other points worthy of note. The defendant was unable to give the police or this court any proof of his movements or whereabouts on the night of August 14th. And we cannot know the fantasies the defendant did or did not have in regards to Pauline Ellis. All we do know is that he cut out a semi-nude photograph of her from a newspaper and put it up on the wall at his place of employment, where he would see it every day. But members of the jury, the most damning evidence against the defendant is the fact that he was recognized. Even though his face was distorted by a nylon stocking, he was identified and named by both the victim and the victim's father. Now, at the age of 22, Alan Collins has been deprived of sight. His fiancée tells us that because of this, he no longer feels he can marry. I put it to you that based on the evidence, you cannot deprive him of justice. Thank you, my lord.
Members of the jury, the central theme of this case seems to be one of identification. The identification of the assailant who attacked Alan Collins. Now, throughout the case, the prosecution have attempted to find a witness who could positively identify my client as being the man who attacked Alan Collins, and I intend to show why they have failed. Let us assume for the moment that there is no feud between the Collins' family and go back to basics. On August the 14th last, Alan Collins is attacked, and his father, looking out of his bedroom window into extremely bad light, saw a masked figure running down the drive. Simultaneously, at the bottom of the drive, Mrs. Whittaker sees this masked figure running towards her and then disappearing round the back of a car. Now, during her examination, Mrs. Whittaker told the court that she could not identify this figure because of the speed that he was moving and because of the extremely bad visibility. Now, except for the victim of the attack, these two people were the only witnesses that saw anything of this incident. Nothing in their evidence could be construed as being a positive identification based upon fact that my client was the assailant. Indeed, Mr. Collins' identification was based upon instinct, which has no place in a court of law dealing with facts. The evidence of the victim himself is equally obscure. He said that he didn't even have time to cry out, either for help or at his attacker. Yet despite the bad light and the fact that his assailant's features were distorted by a stocking mask, he expects you to believe that he recognized his cousin. But remember, there is a family feud going on. And in the heat of their anger, Alan Collins and his father accuses Brian Collins of the attack, a person who, according to Alan Collins' mother, is, and I quote, incapable of such an act. Now, the defense has every sympathy for the unfortunate victim of this affair, who has, as a result, lost most of his sight. But in my submission, this is a case which has been brought amid a torrent of emotion and circumstantial evidence. There are no hard facts to show that my client attacked Alan Collins, and it is my contention that the prosecution have no case because they have failed to produce this necessary identification. It is unfortunate, members of the jury, that these proceedings have done nothing but deepen the rift between the two sides of this family. If my client is convicted on this emotional evidence, it will only add fuel to their continuing quarrel. I trust, therefore, members of the jury, that you will find Brian Collins not guilty of the charges against him.
Now, members of the jury, you've listened carefully to the evidence and to the speeches of counsel for the prosecution and for the defense, and it may well have struck you that there are certain unusual aspects about this case. One of them being that although 3 witnesses saw the assailant, the circumstances in which he was seen make identification far from absolute. I mean, both the victim and his father have stated with very much conviction that they recognized the defendant. Now, the other witness, who had an equally good sight of the assailant, says that she could not possibly make a positive identification. Now, you must bear in mind, members of the jury, of course, that that witness was not well acquainted with the defendant and could therefore be expected to recognize anything familiar about his movements. But also, you must bear in mind the possibility that in those terrifying few seconds, the victim and his father were mistaken, genuinely mistaken, in believing that the masked man's movements and way of running were indisputably those of the defendant. Now, the lack of evidence makes it all the more important to consider the question of motive. What you must decide is whether the personal malice between the defendant and his cousin has been proved. Now, if the answer is yes, then you must decide whether that malice was such as to provoke the defendant to an act of violence with which he's charged. Now, you've heard one witness say that she did not believe that the defendant could commit such an act of violence, and that testimony carried all the more weight because it came from the victim's mother. It's been a suggestion of the defence that the attack was for the purpose of robbery. And indeed, one witness said that after the substance had been thrown into the victim's face, the assailant moved forward as if to do something else. What else? Was it to rob, or was it not? It doesn't prove intent to rob. But, jury, you must, I'm afraid, bear in mind the possibility, regrettably, this sort of crime, that is to say, robbery after an initial act of violence, is not uncommon these days. Now, finally, I must say to you, members of the jury, this. You must ask yourselves, after weighing the evidence of both sides, if you have been convinced beyond all reasonable doubt that it was the defendant and none other who caused grievous bodily harm to his cousin. Only then should your verdict be one of guilty. And now, members of the jury, would you please retire to consider your verdict?
All stand.
Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Answer this question yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the prisoner, Brian Collings, guilty or not guilty of causing grievous bodily harm?
Not guilty. Brian Collins, you have been acquitted. The charge.
Next week, a chance for you to join another jury in assessing the facts when our cameras return to watch a leading case in the Crown Court.